Thanks, Andy. Hi, my name is Amit Sawhney. I'm the CEO at FCI. And FCI as an organization has been around for many decades altogether as a family business, but it has changed shape and form over the years. I did my bachelor's at RIT, then I was working in Boston for a bit in an organization which used to supply workflow solutions to the print industry. I came back to India, joined my family business for a few years, tried to do the same quick print and try to scale that up, but very quickly realized that neither is it very critical nor it fits the time and need of the market today. So there was the time when even in India we were having a lot of banks, insurance companies, utility organizations. There were a lot of them were growing, a lot of new private entities were getting set up, and as a result, a lot of transactional communications were physically being printed and mailed out to consumers. When we got our first utility customer who wanted to outsource their grid printing needs, and then came up first telecom operator who wanted to print and mail the postpaid bills that they were printing. 2004 is when we started this business, and very quickly we grew quite rapidly in this, and fortunately we became one of the largest providers in this space nationwide in India, and we set up 4 large industrial facilities for doing distributed print and mail for this kind of business. So we still do 4 facilities, north, east, west, and south of the country. We were actually one of the first organizations who installed Xerox DocuPrints in India. Then we were one of the first companies to install Kodak inkjet into the country. I would say probably at a peak sometime like between 2018 and 2020 would be, I would say, the peak time when our volumes were the maximum in print. We might have hit maybe 2 billion A4 images a year.
Wow.
I would say maybe we still do close to that, or maybe 20% lesser than that, because the market also consolidated a lot over the years.
So pre-COVID, 80-90% of your revenues were
Right.
print and mail related activities, I would assume.
Right. Yeah, more like 95%.
More like 95%. Okay. The
Right.
business was right. Okay.
Yes. But all along since 2015, clients have been asking us that, print is not the future for this business. Why don't you guys offer us XYZ services or solutions, which was all revolving around digital, some sort of a digital offering in this industry. So the balance 5% of our revenue used to be just the ancillary services in some form or the other, digital services that we started providing. And we somehow were always thinking that we are truly omnichannel, with just that 5% coming from some sort of our digital services that we would be providing. That was the pivoting moment for us when we realized that the digital communication space is a lot wider and deeper than we had originally thought. That was another round of transformation that we did over the last 5 to 7 years. Our digital business has now become 50% of our digital business. And in times to come, it'll become probably 90% in coming years.
We used to mail out this letter in the post, and now we're just going to send the equivalent as an email. And that equivalency, the math is just doesn't work, right? And this is where I think a lot of people are really stuck, is that they continue to see this one-to-one equivalency between a printed communication and a digital conversation, right? What does it really look like? I mean,
no, it's definitely not like this, but that's what we also used to think when we were purely a print and mail shop. We had very less interest in the digital side of the business because we just couldn't equate that. Will it offset that kind of a top line and bottom line for us? Because it's only when you get to deploy a digital platform at an enterprise grade scale, end to end, with a tightly integrated system with the clients, various systems that needs various kinds of communications. So we were slowly and gradually realizing that the top line and the revenue and the profitability of this business does not solely rely on how many communications are we able to send out. It also depends on how much integrations are possible, where all can you change the customer experience for the end consumers of our banking and other financial services organizations. So there's a whole lot of learning that happened between, I would say, 2015 to 2020. We put together an engineering teams and started developing a product after we realized that there were a lot of demands in the market that no out of box core CCM platforms out there offer. And that is what brought us to start building and developing Varta as a product and a solution for enterprise, especially enterprises in banking and insurance space.
Yeah. I assume they have regulations in India, just like we do here in the United States.
Right, right.
And you have been successful attracting some of the largest banks, insurance companies, other financial services firms in India and outside of India. So how have you been able to navigate that of coming from being a trusted vendor of delivering print and mail services for a big bank, a big insurance company? How are you able to turn that into what FCI has become, which is clearly a digital first leader in the marketplace, particularly in India?
Right. So frankly, we built everything as a co-creation partnership with our customers, and we knew what their pain points were. We knew that clients struggle with time to market. They need to launch new products with the digital first mindset, and they were struggling. Products have to be launched by an insurance company, and it would take them a month or 2 months working with their homegrown tools or their IT departments to be able to put together that compliance ready communication that can be either printed or dispatched digitally. So when we were able to solve for that, that was one clear pain point for most of our customers, time to market.
Right.
So once we were able to solve for that, there were other challenges that were thrown on us. Then it became more digital first task. They wanted to be able to send communications on mobile app notifications. They wanted a lot of self-service and on-demand capabilities in real time. Customers should be able to pick up communications from any channel of their choice. It could be WhatsApp, it could be a mobile app, it could be internet banking, stuff like that. So we had to sort of build capabilities as a co-creation partner for most of our customers. And because we were able to deliver on every front, they trusted us with more and more new capabilities to be built. So we started with core offerings of CCM, which is compliance ready communications, which is statements, letters, documents of banks and insurance organizations. But then once that stabilized and customers were able to track those communications in real time digitally, then the post-COVID requirements like orchestration start to come in, that we want to orchestrate communications across channels. So we had to practically start delivering on every month on month or quarter on quarter basis with a roadmap which was being made and delivered on the fly with the customers. Once we started to do that, then they threw other challenges at us that currently we work with, some of our customers work with a lot of CPaaS vendors who are the actual last mile delivery pipes of delivering email, SMS, RCS, WhatsApp. So then they wanted those capabilities also to be brought into our platform, which we did. Then there were new challenges thrown by us at banks that they wanted a lot of communications that goes from bank to businesses. There were all kinds of unique requirements. They wanted to bring those capabilities also into our platform. So slowly, gradually, both us and our customers were working on a strategy to create one single source of truth and to have all kinds of communications and engagement going from one central hub.
How has that volume changed? Because again, I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, right? That has your print volume, has there been a direct correlation between the growth in your digital and the decline perhaps in print volume? You still have a pretty significant print business, I would
Yeah,
assume.
we still print. Yeah, print is still a substantial part of our business and will continue to be. But there was a point in time where printing utility bills, telecom bills was our main business. But now insurance products are our primary stay because pretty much no telecom operator today prints bills.
Right.
But there are some utility companies that still print, and pretty much most of the banks and credit cards, they do a very little form of printing. Everything is gone digital.
Print is declining at a rate that's different than digital's growth. They are independent in many ways, although I think a lot of people say, well, if I give up one print to go to one digital, there's again, they're two separate sort of trajectories in terms of opportunity. One is declining and one is obviously growing. So you've got a team of software engineers. I assume you're approaching your software development like you would, like any software development house would approach. You've got product managers and product owners and architects, and I assume you build on a agile, framework. How has that been shifting from being a print service provider to a technology vendor provider? How does that look for you, particularly as the CEO? You're a different business than what you started with.
Yeah. It's been a very interesting journey. I was always in a brick and mortar traditional business, building factories, running print and mail shops, and then comes COVID, and we had to completely start a new business, which was a tech business. I remember hiring our first set of engineers to gradually enlarging the team from 5-7 people to now there are 250 of them, wherein we have all kinds of engineers, QA, DevOps. Now with most of the teams becoming AI augmented, we have all kinds of skill sets now, with prompt engineers to all kinds of data science engineers, etc.
Did you say 250 people on your software team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. That's great. That really just proves the point that other places in the world where I've been into print service providers, you look at these operations and go, this is not a printer. This is a technology company.
We don't even sit in the same office. Our print plants is maybe 100 kilometers from where I'm sitting. There's no synergies as such when it comes to the print business. It's just that when we migrate a new project or bring a customer onto our platform, we understand their pain points on the print side much faster than anyone else would understand. Traditional paper-based print and mail is a big part of the communication space in the US. That can change very quickly, very fast. So the digital adoption has been slow, I think, over the last few years, but I think it's going to pick pace in the US market. So I think our platform is ripe for that, because we have built a platform for any kind of a deployment. You understand the regulatory business that we're in, where you keep the customer's data is very important. We have created our platform, which is agnostic to the deployment. It could be done on a customer's data center. It could be done on a private cloud like Azure, Oracle, Google Cloud, or AWS. And it could also be on a public cloud if it's hosted by a service provider. Creating one centralized hub for all engagement needs with the customer is a very long sales cycle, and a lot of enterprise fear that they will have to make a lot of changes at their end to be able to achieve this. So we've built a product in a very modular fashion. They could start small, but slowly, gradually achieve the end goal of having one communications hub. So whether it's business to consumer communications, business to business communications, or a non-traditional business of CCM, which is alerts and notifications. So we are able to consolidate all of that into one hub. And when we are able to do that, we are also able to bring out a lot of unique insights from that very valuable customer data to put that to action in a very hyper-personalized 1:1 fashion.
Well, we had talked previously about this role of the service provider sort of being at the end of the funnel. It's the last stop before the bank sends something to their customer. And that position of being the output service provider is the ideal place to put a platform like Varta to capture all of this activity. Talk a little bit about that, because you had a really great way of describing the value of sitting at the end of the funnel as a service provider and being that central hub of being able to understand all of the activity in the customer conversation.
Right. So for us, at least, that has worked well, because we started with print, but slowly, gradually, as more and more digital channels came, the customers started to expect us to send SMS, email, WhatsApp, RCS. And as our product and platform matured, they wanted us to integrate with their various internal systems, source systems, from internet banking to mobile app. So slowly, gradually, and including various kind of bank to business communications as well. So when you have that hub, you're able to unlock a huge volume of communications that goes through the bank to the consumers, which typically would never reach a print service provider shop. Most of the time, what print service providers really get is large volume batches that can be produced and mailed out. But all the mid-size and low volume batches either don't go physically, or if they go physically, that PSPs are usually not geared enough to handle that low volumes, or it is best to be sent digitally. But at the same time, there's a lot of other interactions that the consumer does with the bank or in insurance organizations, which we never get to know about. These are the API requests that goes through mobile app or internet banking or chatbot. But these are also communications that are happening between the bank or the financial institution and their consumers. So when you create a hub for that organization, you are playing a role in every communication that's going out. So just to compare print versus digital, yes, it will not make sense for a $1 mail piece, which you were mailing out a million of them, to start selling at 10 cents. But that 1 million mail pieces will actually become 25 million when you really have the complete hub created for that organization. And then now you're no longer just a last mile courier and delivery and mail part of the last mile piece of this business. You've gone more upstream, and you're a critical tech partner for the business. And then your job is to ensure, as a PSP who's gone digital, is to ensure that the client's business needs are met, no matter what the channel is.
How typically are you seeing the pricing on a platform like that? Is it still a transactional model, or is it sort of fixed monthly fee, or how best are you seeing the revenue capture on the digital services side? Again, the accounting on one end was pretty straightforward. How many pieces, how many insert, all that.
Right.
Now we're having to keep track of a whole lot of different stuff. What does that revenue model look like?
So it can be very similar to how PSPs used to, which is per transaction. But at the same time, we've worked with some really large enterprises as well, wherein per transaction doesn't make sense for them because their volumes are not known to them. They themselves don't know, when we have created a hub, which department will blast what kind of communications at what time of the month. So to be able to keep a track of all of them, they prefer a fixed cost model as well. They work out a 5-year TCO, and they agree on a certain X dollars that will be paid out per year or per month or quarter, and so that they know their costs are fixed over a 5-year window. There is various models at play here. Small to medium size organizations prefer a per transaction, no capital expense kind of arrangement. Larger the enterprise, they don't mind large capex, but their total outflow should be capped and fixed. So we have customers of all kinds. We have per transactions, we have perpetual license customers, we have term license customers, we have subscription customers, we have customers wherein we own the infrastructure of cloud infrastructure as well. We have clients who provide their infrastructure. Completely depends on the end customer.
Yeah. And when you talk about these environments, I'm going to assume that you've got all the US requirements, the HIPAA and the SOC 2 and
Yes.
and you get into even to like FedRAMP and some of that kind of stuff, or sort of how far does that certification go for FCI?
Right. So InfoSec is a very big part of this business. Even print and mail houses understand how critical InfoSec is to this business. So for all these years, whether we were in print or we are in a tech business, we understand how important it is to comply with all the regulatory and InfoSec needs in this market. So you have to invest substantial amount of time and energy and tools and processes to control your product in a way that it gives the comfort to a really large Fortune 500 bank or an insurance organization to deploy the solution in their environment.
Right.
So that's a given. I mean, that without InfoSec being sacrosanct in this business, you cannot even go in much further.
So there's a 24/7 DevOps team behind this platform that's watching the system, keeping track of what's going on continuously.
Yes. So what we're really looking for is a partner who could be in a similar situation where we were before COVID. We were a 100% print and mail house, but we have built something, and we have some really successful customers who swear by our product. So we wanted to partner, but at the same time, we understand that the banks and insurance companies that partnered with us knew us for the last 20 years because we were their print and mail partner. The 5-10% revenue coming from some form of our digital services is not really a tech digital CCM business. For a truly tech digital CCM business, you need to have a completely different mindset, completely different, unique product that's not available in the market today. I think those are the problems we have already solved. Why have someone solve them from scratch over the next decade? Why don't we help align with such partners? We help them on the learning curve and the product curve. They extend their existing relationships from print to truly a tech omni-channel business. Right. No, I would just like to add that I do feel this is, if the right PSP can be partnered with, it can be a win-win, simply because building an enterprise grade secure B2B product in today's day and age, the probability of that becoming successful in a reasonable short window is, close to less than 1%. It can take huge amount of time, and the way technology is changing and the speed at which things are changing, especially with the advent of AI, time to market is the most important thing. If you have a product ready partner with the required skill sets and knowledge and expertise, who's gone through that same journey in some other part of the world, if they can bring all of that to the table today, all that PSP has to leverage is use the relationships and solve the customer pain points and future-proof their own business and deepen their relationship with their customers, which slowly, gradually is fading away because print is fading away.
Yeah. So just to touch on that, the types of buyers that the type from the banks and the insurance companies, you used to be dealing with the purchasing people buying print.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how that looks different now in terms of the types of customers that you're engaging with at a large institution.
Yes. So back in the print and mail days, we would typically be either sourcing and purchase teams would be talking to us, or at best operations teams, and everyone under the COO position. But now that's no longer the case. When we sell CCM, enterprise grade platform, centralized communications hub, it used to be CTOs and CIOs being the buyers for us. And now that is also changing. Now the CEO can be one influencer, but chief digital officer and chief marketing officers also have a play, because now when we position our hub, the real value CDOs and CMOs will drive out of such a system to being able to increase the wallet share and cross-sell to their existing customers. That's the kind of stuff that CDOs and CMOs are really trying to achieve. So the buyers will really be very, very different than what a typical PSP would be used to selling.
Right. And again, different skill set of the PSP, different kind of seller, different value proposition to the customer. So it is more than just a mindset. It is a complete shift operationally in terms of how the PSP will function, what the revenue flow will look like, how they'll engage with customers, et cetera. So you've been through that pain, you've done it successfully, and you're bringing that to the US market. And